Hello, and welcome to Effective Interaction with Participants. I am Dr. Simmons of Free and One Training Institute. Before we get started, I want to make sure that if you are in part of our staff development series, then you will need to make sure that you email me that you're taking this training online. And my email will be listed is at fnotraining@gmail.com. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and I hope that you get information that can help you enhance your career and your goals. Today, we want to talk about effective interaction with participants. That's our objective. This is part of the staff development series. As our staff development training, our topic is why do we take staff development training? We adhere to contract and funders compliance, which is very important in today's community. As you see a team of people sitting around the table, each of them are different and diverse. But we have to listen to every team member, and that's what we get when we start taking staff development training. We understand different ways of doing things. And if you look, the person in the blue has the missing piece, and we all need the missing piece to enhance what we're doing. And that's why we take this training. We prepare for a higher area of responsibility in whatever we have to do. Knowledge is power, and we want to enhance that knowledge. We improve our knowledge in the industry we service. And this is an industry that we're servicing as we serve people. That's what many of our staff development training with Free and One Training Institute is catered around nonprofit social service entities that work with a group of people from diverse populations. It helps us to understand people better, as I just mentioned before, because everybody comes from a different pool or resource. Improve knowledge of company policy, procedures, and goals. Staff development is very important for us. It also makes a better workplace environment that we work together as a team, and this environment can improve. We improve our customer service, whoever our customer is. When you take staff development training, and I want to encourage you all to continue to make it a priority in all of your doing, get education. So get knowledge. So improve customer service so that you can service the people that we serve better. Training encourages employees and staff and leadership to enhance their knowledge, to boost productivity, and to motivate you to serve people better. Do we have any other reason for the season but to serve people better? If we're in a nonprofit community service environment, we really want to do that. Here, look at this. As you look at the screen, you'll see effective interaction with participants. But it looks like, as I look at the screen, these people are talking on top of each other. They don't have positive energy towards one another. As a matter of fact, the one guy is pointing, and he's pointing to say, wait, 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 no, no, no. I mean, I'm just putting words in his mouth, but he is really saying, that's not right. No, you're not right. And the person in the blazer, the black man, is saying he has a point to express, and the other lady is saying, wow, I can't believe you said that. That's me putting words in their mouth. But one thing I know for sure, they're all talking on top of each other, and I don't think that's equipping them or in a positive way of how to handle a situation. So even if we just take a moment and look at their body language, everyone is trying to prove their point by talking over each other. That is not effective. That is not effective interaction. I believe after they get through talking to each other, when they get away from that environment, they may not have positive relations with one another after this. This is not brainstorming. This is just being rude to one another by not listening and taking the time. Now, if we look at this particular slide, the importance of effective interaction starts with our attitude. Look at her. Her body language is saying no. I disagree. I don't want to be here. She has a smirk on her face. So she really has an attitude about something. And just note her attitude, uh, it might spill out to other situations in in her environment, who wherever, if she walked into a room and her arms are crossed, or if somebody else walked into the room and is communicating with her, she's not receiving it. Her body language is saying no. It's a negative body language and I'm not accepting it. And her body language is saying no. With the arms crossed, she needs to manage her emotions, because evidently there's something there that's not flying right with her. So I'm picturing her, I'm taking a picture of her as the person that's receiving the information. Just imagine if she's the person that's giving the information to someone else, and she actually walks into the room and tells them some information, and she needs to be effective in her interaction with whomever she's speaking to, but she has this negative body language. I don't think it's going to go well. So now let's say that she came to her senses. The importance of effective interaction, along with that, means that she needs strategies for managing her emotions, and she needs those strategies not to offend someone else. And so I believe that she is apologizing now. She's saying, I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to come in with a negative attitude. I had a bad day, or I received some bad news. And because of that, she's managing. She's managing her emotions. She's resetting the environment from which either she entered into the room or she received the information. But she's managing that emotion. And we're not perfect, but it's always important to show respect to others. So she's showing respect by managing her emotions, so that it wouldn't be taken negatively, because it can set the foundation for the rest of their relationship. Well, we don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. And there's a book I like to recommend. It's called The Four Agreements. I don't get paid for it. It's not a promotion, but it's on Amazon.com. And I just thought it was a really good book. And I like to just share the four agreements. There's four agreements that's in the book, and it's a small book, easy read. But two of them says, don't take anything personal, and another one says always do your best. There's two more, but right now I just want to talk about these two. You can get the book and read the book. It's a small book, and you may gain some knowledge, as I was very impressed with the book. But at this point, I know and I'm reminded, don't take anything personal. Yes, the person came in the room with a negative atmosphere, a negative position, but I'm not going to take it personal. And then when she later apologized in the slide, said, oh, no, no, I'm so sorry. I had too much on my plate. I was doing too much. I accept that, so I didn't take it personal. And then I always want to do my best and be my best. And so I want to encourage everyone listening to this presentation to do your best, be your best. The importance of effective interaction, establishing trust and rapport with your clients. Just look at this picture. This person is flying in the air with the trust that the person's going to catch her. Her or him. Yeah, her. It looks like her. So, with that in mind, you have to trust that person. So, you have to establish techniques for building positive relationship, importance of empathy in any conversation or communication. Trust, as demonstrated by our picture, is to rely on one another, a person to help you, and to feel safe and comfortable with them, and that you know they're not going to do you any harm. They're going to do good by you. And so that's the trust. But it takes time to develop trust. It says establish trust. You have to develop trust. And sometimes that's working together as team in different ways. And the importance of empathy. Empathy is communication, is to understand the feelings of one another and to respect and value them. And that is one way to build trust, to create experiences that you can work together as a team and gain certain rapport, and then also to value the way a person thinks on a particular subject, because they can communicate with you properly with effective interaction, and they trust you. And so you will be effective in interaction if you can gain their trust and rapport. Understanding communication styles. We just spoke about the body language, and that's a communication style, and there was a negative style if you just look at them without them speaking at all. Just the body language is a communication style. Passive communication is another communication style where they tend to avoid their own needs and opinions. They tend to say, well, that's okay. Well, I'm okay. They appear to be timid or hesitant or more submissive, always agreeing just to avoid conflict or confrontation with another. And they make this passive communication style where they're really not true to themselves or what they really feel. And maybe they don't know what they really feel, but they communicate in a passive communication style. So a lot of times you'll have people that are communicating that way. And when they communicate that way, you don't really know who you know. You don't know because they continue to avoid conflict or confrontation. But you can ask questions. And when you do, you can find out, is that really what you need? Do you need more? Or do you need less? And it takes conversation to get it out of a passive person. Here we have our passive communicators laying back, and look at the other screen, and you see a person with a bullhorn, leveled up communication, if nothing else. They want to be heard, they have a bullhorn, and they're the aggressive communicators. More aggressively, they're trying to express their point, where the passive communicator is just trying to avoid confrontation. The aggressive communicator is forceful, confrontational, often disrespectful. They don't know they are, but they tend to prioritize their own needs and opinions. And because they have their own needs and opinions, they really don't care what else is going on. They're trying to express their position. And so sometimes it could be at the expense of others, and aggressive communicators can lead to conflict, intimidation, strain on the relationship. And there could definitely be a strain on the relationship between the passive communicator and the aggressive communicator. And in between the passive communicator and the aggressive communicator, we need to find a balance for effective communication. So we don't want you to be passive. We don't want you to be aggressive. We need you to be effective. And the only way you're going to be effective is to be in the middle of those two ways to communicate. You want to communicate where you're heard and not necessarily seen negatively, but you can be trusted in your relationship with other people. The importance of effective interaction is very important. Handling complaints and criticism. You need strategies for handling client complaints effectively, turning criticism into opportunities for improvement, maintaining professionalism under pressure. That's important. Those are the ways to handle complaints and criticism. Those are the topics that we're discussing, but also the conflict resolution. You know there's going to be a conflict with uh, the passive communicator and the aggressive communicator. That is a conflict. It will be a conflict because one cannot communicate with the other, and you don't want to be the passive one or the aggressive one. You want to have negotiation skills and client interaction, and you want to be the effective one. And the only way you're going to be the effective one is to understand that there's a conflict and you need to resolve it, and you cannot be the cause of the problem. You have to be effective in your communication. So how do we handle complaints? Complaint department. Look at the complaint department. It has a press the button for service. And if you press that button, you have a mousetrap and you will get stinged, because you have people complaining and you haven't have a system to address. Establish a system to handle complaints in a professional manner. Always respect the client or the person that we're servicing. Always respect them and try to resolve with professional boundaries. Always look at the possibility, whatever the company protocol is. Always go to your supervisor. But one thing you have to do is make sure that your supervisor is aware if there is a complaint, so that you can work together as a team to handle that complaint. But one of the best ways to do is try to de-escalate the problem and try to listen and understand the problem. You can't be talking and listening at the same time. It takes a unique skill level to be quiet and listen. When you're listening, we are not talking. We don't interrupt others while they're talking. You are listening. And many times your brain may be moving 50 miles an hour and their brain is going 10 miles an hour. They're just trying to get their point across effectively using verbiage and using adjectives, and while they're trying to find the adjectives, you're already in your mind saying, I understand, I understand, I understand. But they have a problem, and the only way they feel that they can communicate it better to you is to use certain adjectives and certain words so that you can understand how they feel or what pain they feel or what situation they need resolved. So you can't let your mind just be going. You have to be listening and attentively listening to the person. You can verify that you're listening by repeating what you feel you understand that what they said. Say, did you just say? And just repeat the words verbatim, because that means that you're actually listening. And if you're actively listening, then you're gaining their respect. They feel that you understand just by listening. That's the first part. You're listening, and then you can help resolve their situation in a professional manner. You would take the steps because you need to establish what the strategy is to resolve that problem. But listening is a very key component to it. I treat other people the way I want to be treated by having respect. You have to have respect for other people. You must gain respect. You must exercise that you have knowledge and respect them. You have to accept them just where they are. And then when you gain their respect, you will gain their rapport. And when you gain their respect and rapport, you'll have a better interaction with that person. I treat other people the way I want to be treated. I want to be treated with respect. You don't have to, you just have to listen to my problem if I have a problem. Sometimes you don't even have to solve the problem. You have to be a listener of the problem. Have you ever had that case happen where you just needed to tell somebody about it? You didn't need them to solve it for you. You just needed to hear yourself say it so that it can eventually get resolved. But in this lifestyle that we live, or in this society that we live, sometimes you don't trust enough people to tell them that there is a problem. Sometimes you may be passive in your communication because you don't trust them and they're not a rapport. But I'm telling you, we want to be effective. We want to have effective interaction with people. And in order to do that, treat them with respect. Skillful leaders work on self improvement more than any other improvement method that they need. Working on improving yourself, I call it the inside man. Yes, the inside man can be so effective in your relationship with others. Try to be an original. Don't try to be a copycat of somebody else unless it's a good person to copy with really good attributes that you would like to acquire. But the goal is that you would know and find out what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what motivates you. And when you have those things in yourself as leaders, then you will have a positive reaction or action towards others. What's in you will come out, but you must be an original to it. What motivates you? And then when you find out, you can also say the same thing to other people. You say, well, what motivates you? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? You will be a good listener. You can find out from them. Depending on your role in the interaction with the participant, I don't want you to go beyond your professional boundaries. I want you to establish professional boundaries, stay within those professional boundaries, but it's important that you interact with people. The only way you're going to interact effectively with people is that you have a true original self within yourself and that you've done the inside work for yourself. There's another book I like to recommend. It's called Measure of a Man, and it was written by Martin Luther King. And in this particular book, it's a really, really small book. I don't know if it's 10 pages, but it's just such a good book. He wrote, a person should seek to do his job as well as anybody living, as well as anybody dead, or well as anybody unborn, or could do it better. In other words, do your job well. Do it. You should strive and seek to do whatever you do well. And the only way you're going to do that is that you have self-improvement opportunities and you work on yourself. It's another good read, and I just want to encourage you to work on self-improvement techniques. 7 ways to establish, we're going to recap the 7 ways that I've listed and discussed to establish effective interaction. Here are the 7 ways to be effective interaction. Be a good listener. We talked about ways that you can become a good listener. Give respect. You must be respectful of other people, always. You must have good listening, and you listen without judgment, and you give respect without judgment. Give the person your undivided attention. And when you give respect, identify, one way to give respect is identify who you are and who you're talking to. You may have forgotten the person's name because you really didn't care for them. But if you take a moment and say, "What's your name again? I'm sorry I didn't get your name," that shows that you're listening. That shows that you respect who they are enough to say that you wanted to get their name. And manage your emotions. We talked about that. Don't have negative body language. Always manage your emotions so that you could actually be able to communicate with the person and talk with the person. Communicate effectively. That includes that body language we talked about. That includes the attitude that we talked about. Communicate with the person. Give them your undivided attention as much as you can. Follow up on the requests or complaints. Follow up on the requests and complaints using company policy and procedure. Establish healthy boundaries. And that's very professional boundaries. And then when I say follow up on requests or complaints, it doesn't mean that you have to solve it. You just have to let them know by going back to them and say, I've heard your request, I've understood your complaint, and now I just want you to know I'm working on it, or I discussed it with my supervisor, or whatever you can give them a feedback. Sometimes just giving them a feedback, let them know that you care, that you are working on it. But always establish professional boundaries. You can always let them know that the company policy says different things. Always rely on the company policy, because that way it's not personal. You're not taking anything personal. Don't take it personal. The company policy says this. The company policy dictates that. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that this is not a personal relationship. This is one of mutual respect and rapport, because you are a good listener. You've taken these 7 ways to establish effective interaction, and you're not taking it personal. You've established professional boundaries, you followed up on requests, you communicate, you manage your emotions, you don't have attitude. And so I've listed 7 ways, but you can always add to this list and make it your own, so that you yourself can make sure that you're effective in your interaction with others. Importance of effective interaction with participant is teamwork. People want to feel that they're part of the team. Collaborative communication. Collaborative communicators prioritize excuse me. Collaborative communicators prioritize I can't even say the word. You see it in writing. Prioritize cooperation. You cooperate. Your teamwork. You share. You make decisions. That you seek input from others, you value diverse perspectives, and you work towards collective goals. After reading the collective communication as team building, it reminds me of making a pot of soup. When you make soup, you add different herbs and spices, and at the end result is a great tasting soup. And we do that because we trust each herb will bring its own flavor to that soup. And when that herb bring that flavor to the soup, in the same way that we value diverse communication or diverse perspectives, then when we value diverse perspective in a collaborative fashion, then you know it's going to bring some value. And we value that herb that's in that soup, and it's going to make that soup taste even better because we added that particular herb. So when I think about it, understanding that even sometimes the soup tastes better the next day when it simmers. So sometimes, as a collaborative communication for teamwork, you have to simmer, you have to work together, you have to collaborate and create the corporate collaboration and decision making, and you value each other. You value what they bring to the table, understanding that it may be different from yours, but their input is very valuable to the team, and that's important. And so you can create a teamwork method by understanding those 7 ways of creating effective communication and from participants, and you can create a really valuable team, understanding that everyone is part of the team and everyone is valued. I'd like to thank you for joining Free and One Training Institute and for joining our presentation today. If you have any other questions, you can email me, and I am Dr. Simmons, and my email address is fnotraining@gmail.com. I want to encourage you to take continued staff development training, and if you would like more training information, you can email me at fnotraining@gmail.com if you want to, on a personal level or corporate level or company level or agency level, nonprofit, for profit. We are available for all trainings. Thank you for letting me be of service, and I hope you enjoy your day.